Here. Good day, doctors.
Go!
You're watching Dr. Politics.
Hey, what do you guys think? Do you like that better?
Like it.
The music's much better too, I think.
Yeah,
That's good.
Like that.
And I'm still adding more pictures in it. It's just like it's like 4:30, and I'm like, okay, I better compile this just to show. Anyways, welcome everyone. It is Friday, and it is a full house at the doctor's. Welcome to the show, Liliana and Jason, our regulars, and David Shepard is now another regular author from Virginia, and Don Irvine. And myself, who usually run the show, and Jeff sometimes, But it's glad to have additional doctors. It's been a busy week this week. Mm-hmm. I want to start off with this. I really enjoy it when lefties are basically exposed for the frauds they are. In addition to the Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson stuff going on, we've also got on YouTube. There's this lefty YouTuber named Illuminati, and she's been going off on everyone from Ronald Reagan to any Republicans there are, and basically how in MLS she went after Amway, and she's a horrid individual. But it's nice to see that she's getting her comeuppance too. So it's always nice to see when. And Don Lemon, I heard he applied for a job at McDonald's for being manager there, and he got turned down. I don't know. It's like I heard that.
He didn't like Shamrock Shakes. That's why.
Shamrock Shakes.
No Shamrock.
What was?
Go ahead.
I know we'll get into this. What was the reason again? I missed. What was the rationale for getting rid of Don Lemon after all these years and putting up with all this stuff? Why now? I just didn't catch the reasoning, or at least the rationale.
I am not sure, but maybe it's like
So the basic reasons appear to be is that his treatment of women at the network. But I think this is a culmination of things because
wasn't he gay though?
We just seen all these things that have been going on. I mean, with him, he didn't do himself any favors with his Nikki Haley comment. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
That turned off even the liberal.
You know what I think the last straw was his interview with Vivek Ramaswamy.
That's right.
Where he said, "Whatever you are."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was it. I mean, if you look at CNN, they seem to have a relatively kind of long leash with these guys. I mean, it took them a while to get rid of Cuomo, and I think Lemon had been in the hot seat, and they were just kind of waiting to see what was going on there. Chris Licht, who took over, after the whole Discovery merger thing, and they got rid of Jeff Zucker and everything like that. He wants to remake the network, and they've been kind of doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They brought in Bill Maher. They're going to try to do some other things. He's basically throwing in the towel on the advocacy journalism. He's leaving that to Fox and to MSNBC to fight for that, and he's trying to carve a different niche. Maybe go back to trying to be a little more centrist from the time when they were originally founded. I don't know if that's actually going to work. I mean, their ratings are still terrible. And they haven't completely made anything, but they're not really attracting much of an audience anyway. So CNN's got a big problem. But Licht, I think, has gotten tired of some of this overtly liberal stuff that's been going on there, and they've taken a lot of heat. And I don't think Licht wants to deal with that. I think he wants to focus on other things. So
I would love it if Licht would rename it to the
Orioles, Dwight.
Yeah,
Orioles have got a low payroll. They don't have to put on the greatest team, and they can make money. They made money even during their lousy years, right?
Look at them now; they're in second place.
Yeah, they had a good start to the season. but for the Orioles, you better still watch out because Angelos, they're not putting any money into that team. And if you think you're going to hold on to an Adley Rutschman or things like that,
Yeah.
that,
Well, I think
from
I
a
think what's going to
baseball
happen is
until the Angeloses decide to actually sign their stars to long-term contracts, just
Mhm.
for O's fans, just be happy with what you got for now because when those guys are when their initial contracts are up, their chances are they'll be playing elsewhere, and the Orioles will be right back to where they started from.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a big Red Sox fan, right? And I go, you know, he goes, it's only early in the season. I go, look, this is good as it gets for Orioles fans. We're just really gosh darn happy that we're kind of like John McCain, just gosh darn happy to be part of history. When he lost to Barack Obama.
Yeah, I mean, it's baseball's a long season, so when you're 25, 26 games in, and you still have 136 plus games or so to go, this is far from a definitive statement on anything at this point. I mean, even the Tampa Rays, I mean, hot start, who knows how they'll finish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so I mean, but CNN, as long as they can attract enough people, enough advertisers, they can still make plenty of money. So
Yep.
it's I think they're looking at the bottom line. They're trying to figure out what it is, and the media landscape is tough, right? I mean, you're seeing how tech and everything else, all these layoffs, almost a daily drop of who's laying off who and what company is on on the verge of folding and things like that. CNN isn't immune to it. I mean, ESPN, Disney just had another round of layoffs, and that hit back into ESPN again too. So it's not easy to make the kind of money they used to make in the media space.
Well, I
Yeah.
know ESPN has given up talking about sports for a while. They seem to have gone political there.
Well, I think they got back. Jamel Hill is long gone. She's now with the Atlantic, and she can spout her leftist stuff from there and all her stuff from there. But I think they learned a harsh lesson with getting overtly political. I mean, you can still watch their shows, and you will see, there'll still be political discussions, things that happen. They'll get into that, but I think ESPN has bounced back. They've kind of bounced back from that kind of low point where they were getting embroiled in all those things. And I think they tried to put a little bit more distance between them and the politics. Besides the sports personalities themselves, the players and everything like that, the leagues, they're getting all in on this stuff anyway. What professional sports league isn't just diving headfirst into social justice and all this other stuff?
However, I think the New York Islanders drew the line on that social welfare stuff in the NHL.
Yeah, didn't the NHL commission a study to find out why most of the players are white, or some bizarre thing they needed to have a study for?
Yeah, I mean, how much are we going to have to live through where we're just seeing that everything is based on these percentages? It's like, well, hockey must be racist because majority of the players are white, and we know majority of America is no longer white. It's like, what is your rationale here?
Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's a crazy mixed up world, I mean, by the way, talking about Tucker Carlson at Fox News, I think it may end up being like, do you guys remember when Chris Plant was fired from WMAL? Then they brought him back a few months later because ratings tanked.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think that may happen with Tucker, but there's stuff out here in the behind the scenes that I can't say. It might be more to the firing than what we think,
What was the reason for getting rid of him? I still am unsure about that too. Was that the Dominion thing?
I think we saw a lot of the fallout from the Dominion thing. The text that came out during the discovery process and the comments he had made about Trump, but also of just people at Fox itself, was just kind of led to his whole downfall. I mean, look, don't cry for nobody should cry for Tucker because
he's a Swanson.
He's got they still owe him for his contract. They'll pay his contract. He walks away with a ton of money. You could argue that Don Lemon has also got high name recognition, but Tucker, having already built the Daily Caller beforehand, the guy he's his own enterprise. He
Well,
can
if
be
he goes to say Newsmax, he'll put Newsmax on the map. If he goes to Newsmax.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't feel like he could do something
if he
like
was willing
that.
to take less money and Newsmax had the money to do that, I mean, Newsmax is going to have their own problems because, Dominion is, it may be out of the way for Fox, but they still have to face Smartmatic. But Dominion and Smartmatic they're going after, after Newsmax and OAN, and those guys don't have anywhere near as deep
No.
as
And
Fox does.
Newsmax is already having problems staying on cable. That they had their contract terminated with DirecTV. Now it was kind of found out that they were the ones that didn't want to pay the fees associated with the contract. So they got taken off of DirecTV and claimed it was censorship when that was not the case. So no, I think switching to Newsmax is no better decision. The airtime that he would get is just not what you would get on another. Now I saw something on Twitter that the direct that he might be the next director of OAN. That someone with
That's another one.
the owner of OAN that said that, oh well, we're going to talk and we're going to give him an offer, and Tucker hasn't said anything about that yet, but no, I don't quite know what entails in this future, but I don't think it can nearly be as much money.
I tell you, if News Nation, which has deep pockets, if they were smart, they would snap him up.
I think they're in the rumor mill for that as well. But what's interesting is that, so with Bill O'Reilly, with Megyn Kelly, with Glenn Beck, they've all been through that ringer at Fox. They all were ousted, and there's a private venture capital fund, the Red Seat Ventures, and what they have done is that they actually signed these guys on, and they created platforms for them for podcasts and all kinds of other things. Now, they're not making. I don't think they can't be making what they were making at Fox. I mean, because they were making definitely big bucks there, but they can make a pretty decent living. Because all of those guys have got pretty high name recognition, and they had an audience. You won't get the Fox audience. I mean, there's just no way to replicate that when you go off on your own podcast and things like that initially. But they're all smart people. Megyn Kelly is she's doing fine. I don't agree with everything. I've listened to her podcast and I finally had to delete it from my feed because I got really tired of all her focus on Harry and Meghan. I'm like, okay, it's like a daily just beating the drum.
She has a show on one of the XM stations too.
She has Megyn Kelly too. Yeah, she's got a lot of things, and she's smart.
She's on the same channel that Dave Ramsey and I want to say Glenn Beck's also on.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be fine, and I think if you go to a Newsmax or an OAN, you're taking a step down anyway, because actually those networks they don't have the money, and they also don't have, as a result of that, their production values are much lower.
Exactly. By the way,
just put them side by side, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, this is for Don and Dave. What does Newsfax remind you of when you watch something on Newsfax? What does it remind you of? Does that not remind you of cutting edge technology in 1997, 98, 97, 98 over at the old NET? I mean, when we did it at NET, it was cutting edge. Today, it's not cutting edge. It's like.
Yeah, I mean, at the time for NET, I mean, it wasn't really that bad.
No, it was great.
It was actually pretty decent. I mean, but now that we've had, decades of improvements in technology, and you look at the Fox News of the world kind of thing like that, you look at what big money and into cable can do.
OAN actually looked pretty good. Actually, OAN's production value is better than Newsmax. Newsmax when I saw it, and they had Cal Thomas on, which I thought was funny because I'm like, am I watching like a classic NET program here? It's Cal Thomas.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a little bit like when the Washington Times started, back in what was it, 82 or whatever. You look to try to build your credibility by looking for some of the conservative stars, even if they're kind of past their prime a little bit, to build a little credibility until you kind of get your feet wet. And then you can actually, work on your own in-house talent and build them up. So that helps to sign people like that. But the Bill O'Reillys of the world, the Tucker Carlsons, they've tasted the big money, Yeah, it's hard to imagine that anybody can sign them on the cheap.
Well, and remember, Dwight, we did our Ted Baxter, Major Garrett. Remember, we had Major Garrett.
That's right. We had Major Garrett, yeah. Major Garrett. I mean, we had a lot of people that are kind of. Izzy Balderas did the primetime news in Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
Eric Allen went to an affiliate in Houston. So I mean, we had really good talent, over there at NET. Genevieve Wood is now vice president over at Heritage Foundation.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of. Paul Wyrick was a visionary when he started NET, because at the same time Tony Fabrizio was trying to get his conservative television network up and running, which never went anywhere, basically, right around the same time.
Yeah.
And Paul paved the road for the Fox Newses, the Newsmaxes, and OAN and other conservative. What do you call it? There's another channel. They do that publication. What is it? Names to speak from mine. You guys know it. Epic Times.
Oh, okay.
They've got their own NTD is their channel. They're carried by Fios carries them. It's pretty good. They actually have really good stuff if you watch on there.
We should send them this promo tape. Call us ourselves the Five, and we'll compete.
Exactly. I like that idea.
Yeah. If we can
consistently get 5 at a time.
That's such a popular show. I remember once I was passing out literature door to door, and this woman, I knew they were a Republican household, and she's out working on the lawn. But she wanted to quickly rush in because she said, the Five's about to start. The Five is about to start. And I'm like, what's the Five?
Appointment television.
Yeah, that's right. But Major Garrett leaving, with Tucker leaving, the thing is, he was like the number one rated, he had the number one rated show in the country. So they must have really had something. They must have a real reason to get rid of
There's also he's also facing a couple of lawsuits that we don't know anything about, but it could have been something with that, they just shelled out a lot of money. They probably didn't want to shell out another sum of money.
I guess.
Is it Maria Bartiromo? Did she sue him or something like that? Is that what I heard?
I don't know.
I think you're talking about the other producer that Abby Grossberg or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the one. That's the one. That was also the next thing to drop there. So there were some issues there, the potential problems and things like that. But for all of us, it is speculation, right? Because we aren't the insiders and really don't know.
And here's the thing: Tucker will be just fine.
Oh yeah.
Don Lemon, he may go to News Nation also. Join his outcasts from CNN. Because Ashley Banfield, who was also on CNN, she left to go to MSNBC. Then now she's on News Nation. Actually, I heard MSNBC really treated her poorly, Ashley Banfield, when she was there over there at MSNBC. But you have Dan Abrams is over at News Nation, and I think Tucker would actually be really good there at News Nation there. Don Lemon, I'm not sure how he'd fit in there, but
yeah, Tucker has that. He's been fired by all 3 networks now. The big cable 3, right?
Yeah, I know he used to be on MSNBC. Remember?
Right, he had a show there.
And CNN.
Yeah, he's appeared on all 3. He's been fired by all 3, but he can laugh all the way to the bank about that. This doesn't hurt him at all. And
the thing is, with the TV industry and media, getting fired is a normal sort of thing. It happens all the time. As soon as they bring in new management,
well, part of this too is that the left thinks that between the lawsuit settlement and Tucker's firing, that they think it's time to dance on Fox's grave, but that's not even close.
Don,
the
you and I
will be who fills Tucker's spot.
Yeah.
They have managed to go through that whole ringer with Bill O'Reilly and Megyn Kelly. They have found people they can slot them in, and the ratings have been just fine. But Tuck, that 8 p.m. slot is a linchpin. If you're getting 2.5 to 3 million viewers a night, you need to be able to try to rebuild that. I think the floor there in the meantime is probably about 1 million viewers. But they've got to get those numbers back up. And I think people will tune in to see how others, how does Greg Gutfield do versus some of the others there?
Or what if they bring in Michael Savage, another NET alumni? Didn't he even show on NET, Michael Savage?
I don't remember.
I thought he did. I seem to remember he did, but
Michael Savage on NET, that would have been frightening.
Yeah, I don't know.
It may have been pre-dates, but I thought he was like working for NET, and then him and Paul had an argument. And
Right, I think our two fellow hosts here are way too young to remember.
That is true. Well, they're so young; they don't even remember the Romney campaign.
Oh my
No,
God.
I remember the Romney campaign. I was in third grade telling people my mommy was voting for Romney.
Oh my God. Oh my
Yes,
God.
third grade. I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
I think I was in fifth grade when it was Obama McCain. I'm pretty sure when we had the class election, I think I voted for Obama. Sorry.
This is a good question, and it's one that probably dates someone. Is what is your first political memory? I always used to ask people that question. And
Mine is Ronald Reagan. In fourth grade, we did a mock election. I was one of 3 kids that voted for Ronald Reagan.
I remember the night of the election, I was parroting what the TV was saying, and they were saying that, look, because Carter won, and only a few states, but Georgia and then West Virginia reported for Carter, and they're thinking, oh, maybe he's coming back. I remember telling my father that. My father said, no, it's going to be a landslide. First time I ever heard the term landslide, but that's my earliest.
It's like that Fleetwood Mac song. What is it? Stevie Nicks said that's on landslide.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
So I can go back to Dwight's favorite person just a bit, because I'm old
Richard Nixon?
I'm old enough that the first election I remember was Nixon Agnew, right?
68 or 72?
68.
Yeah.
And the first politician that I ever met was Gil Goody, former Republican from Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first politician I met was John Warner from Virginia, over at the Visual Systems store on 19th Street.
Oh, wow.
Heck of a nice guy. And I got his card, and I bugged him enough, and he came talk to the GWCRs.
Yeah.
First politician I met was Delegate Kathy Shalega back in 2020. It's like right when everyone kind of got like antsy about lockdown, right around the 4th of July when everyone kind of started exiting their homes. But yeah, that was first elected official I ever met. But yeah, for the question for like first political event, I'd say it was the 2008 RNC convention. I vividly remember looking at the screen and seeing Sarah Palin giving a speech and being like, wow, she's so cool. And since then I've hardcore Republican. So
all right. So what do you feel about Sarah Palin today?
I think if we didn't have ranked choice voting, she would be in Congress. I think she's definitely a character, but I think she is still. I think I love her. I think her energy is something. I know she can be out there, but I think she'd be way better than Peltola could be right now. Peltola's voting terribly. And as for Alaska, I know she resigned as governor, but like, I don't know. I think she'd be a great congresswoman.
All I can say is that I hate ranked choice voting.
Yes.
I think she should have moved to Arizona and challenged John McCain for that Senate seat in a primary.
In Alaska, they have them only themselves to blame because the Republicans basically control stuff. They put it in.
I know, and I it just doesn't make any. I don't get it.
Yeah, I understand in California because it's a bunch of idiots, but it's like Alaska. What happened?
Yeah.
And we've got some people in our party that want to actually have ranked choice voting in Maryland.
Yeah.
If you remember, we had an event where somebody asked Dave Bossy, "What do you would ranked choice voting help us?"
No, they'll choose they'll choose 2 Democrats and then not.
Exactly.
Like they do for Board of Ed now. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's about the only thing I like about ranked choice voting is that since it's here to stay in California, is that when they get the 2 Democrats running against each other, watching them beat each other up.
Yeah, and by the way, they are going to be the Democrats in Maryland. They're so giddy next year. Save your nickels and dimes and dollars and $20 because Maryland's going to raise taxes like it's going out of style at the next session. tolls are gonna. They want to like. You got people like was it Eric Lukey? No, what's the guy from 16? Who wants to maximize every single toll. On every toll road in Maryland because that's his magic strategy of because they found out pot revenue is not going to pay for the Kerwin.
Pot revenue is so small. It's so small. It's not going to pay for anything.
Yeah, I know. Well, what do you think of that? What is the here's the Harry Hughes, former governor, old style Democrat who'd be where I don't think he'd get a single Democrat vote if he ran today. But Harry Hughes was in his book talks about how Maryland had a budget crisis in the 70s. And he brought in that's when the Maryland lottery came in, 72 I think or 73. I think it's 73 because it's 50 years this year, right? The Maryland lottery. They brought that in. Then we had another shortfall in 1982. They brought in Keno, or is it 85? But then they brought Keno. Then we had another shortfall under another Democrat governor, and they brought in what do you call it? Actually, they brought in slots because when Governor Ehrlich wanted slots, which was actually the smart way of doing it, he was the Democrats were all like mocking him, saying slots for tots. But the Democrats now, what's worse, slots for tots or pot for tots? That's these Democrats. And then when Marty O'Malley becomes, they couldn't put in those slot parlors fast enough. And I think there's not much left to legalize. It'll be either prostitution, heroin, or I don't know.
Don't give me any ideas. Don't give me any ideas.
It's like I know there's a couple of Democrats that do watch our show.
What was the joke? Speaking of taxing, Bob Dole said he used to tell Ted Kennedy. He asked Ted Kennedy, he said, "Well, I want to tax your memory on something," and Ted Kennedy said, "Really? Can we do that?" Don't give me any ideas.
Yeah. Speaking of Kennedys, it's my boss, Senator Kennedy, that says
the good Kennedy.
Yes, the good Kennedy says if you're gonna throw a party, you got to pay the band.
Okay,
that no one seems to think about anymore, so especially with Kerwin.
Yeah.
Let's pass $40 billion for education, and then no thought about paying that.
Yeah.
And speaking of Kennedys, RFK Jr. is running for president. Do you think he's the Eugene McCarthy of 2024?
Yeah. And ironically, it was Gene McCarthy who got his father into the race, who got RFK Sr. into the race because remember in New Hampshire, he came from nowhere, McCarthy, and it came close, and that wounded, or so they say, mortally wounded LBJ, and then Robert F. Kennedy got into the race, Sr. So I kind of like him because the media hates him so much. I don't know much about Robert Kennedy, but I know
he's a Kennedy. He likes to tax things and spend.
Yeah, but the media attacks him so much. Can he be all that bad?
He's the big anti-vaxxer too, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what they're going after. In fact, they censored him. Apparently, he did an interview.
You heard the Democrat Party is not going to do any debates in the primary. 0 debates. Wow. So Martha Williamson, aka friend of Oprah's, and Joe Kennedy, we're not going to be on any debate stage with Joe Biden, which that just screams of Politburo politics,
Yeah. Well, they're protecting, and it's ironic because Biden's like an old Soviet leader, like Chernenko. They just kind of push him up there and hold him up.
Do you think they wheel him around the White House on a dolly? They prop him up, strap him in.
Did you see the scandal? The card, he had flashcards. Did you see that? Only the Daily Telegraph reported that. I didn't see that on my news feed from the American media, but
Fox was reporting it.
Okay.
It was all over Twitter too.
They're still talking about it. They were still talking about it this morning.
Okay. Yeah, the LA.
I think either the Hill or the Washington. I think it was the Washington Post that reported it too.
Yeah.
It was on like social media.
Is there a lover spat over at the Washington Post that they're saying some bad stuff about Joe Biden? Is there a lover spat there?
A lover spat.
Yeah, I mean that was a strange thing though. The LA Times did come out and they said that there was they had nothing they didn't submit a question in advance, and the question that was asked was not exactly the same thing, but it definitely is a cheat sheet to give Biden ahead of it. It's like, who's the reporter? How do you pronounce the name? And what's the, what it's like? What are they likely to ask? Kind of a thing like that.
And they do this for Democrats all the time. Remember Donna Brazile snuck the debate questions to Hillary in 2016? Right? It's, another CNN alumnus who was shown the door.
Yeah, but tipping off someone with questions is a no go. That's no good. You can't. No bueno. You can't do that.
I mean, do you guys remember when Dan Quayle, when he was vice president, they did the red pen trick, where they only asked people that had a red pen, and then the reporters, everybody held up a red pen.
Oh, I don't.
But yeah, Dan Quayle was a great guy, guys. He's before your time, but he was vice president of the United States.
I remember him, yeah.
He should have run for governor after that of Indiana, but he wanted to be president so badly he decided not to. Even though it didn't, he didn't think about the fact that you run for governor, and then 2 years later you can run for president.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, But Dan Quayle's son was in Congress, I think, for 2 terms. Ben Quayle.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in there from Arizona because the Quayles now live in Arizona.
They must have moved. Yeah, I guess they moved.
So, Liliana,
Yes.
Maryland Day is tomorrow.
Maryland Day is tomorrow.
And are you going to go, or are you going to?
There, I will not be there. The Maryland Federation of Republican Women. We have our board meeting. I'm the recording secretary, so I have to be there for roll call.
Jason, you remember Maryland Day? Wasn't that like the funnest day of the year? After the second look fair, and the first look fair, and the parties on Friday night. After all that, it was like the funnest thing to do. I mean, they open up the campus. You see alumni coming around. Then you have some alumni who just don't leave or shut off.
And they're debuting a statue and stamp that they're putting of Greg Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And the author will be there tomorrow.
He drove the shuttle buses when I was at Maryland. He was a shuttle bus driver. He had a comic strip called Igdoof in the Diamondback.
Huh. Interesting.
By the way, is the Diamondback no longer a print publication? Did they just stop printing paper copies?
I haven't seen any print copies.
Because usually Potomac Pizza, they have copies of the Diamondback, as do a lot of other businesses.
They still have the stands out, but I've never seen a copy.
I think they stopped during COVID.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, COVID's over. Someone should send them a memo.
Because they still had hard copies when I was there. I think.
You graduated, what, 2022? I mean, I want to say 2020?
I mean, seriously, how many young people are going to read a physical newspaper, right?
I read the newspaper.
I read the
newspaper work.
I mean, there's some there are people that are the outliers, but I mean, almost everybody's using their devices to get their news, and that's how they want it delivered. So, printing a newspaper doesn't really, it's an expense that really doesn't, do any good for them in the long run.
Well, I like the physical copy as well. I like the physical.
I'm going to be at Maryland Day tomorrow too, because I need to go.
When are you to be there?
I need to go to the book banning event.
Oh, they're doing a book banning event.
They have between 10 and 12. It's a book ban giveaway. So I got to go down there and check it out to see what kind of crazy stuff they're doing.
Well, if you guys are looking for food, you have to try out the new dining hall, Yahansamitsi. It's north of the stadium, up in the new heritage community, which is the dorms that were just built.
Oh, you guys have communities now? They're calling them communities?
Yeah, there's the Ellicott
It's not like a 50-plus community in Florida, Heritage Village.
Okay.
Is that a 20-plus community at Maryland? Is that for 20-plus people?
It's the freshmen that are within the University Honors Program. But you got to try out the new dining hall. It's really good. There's so many different options. So much better than South Campus. No one even goes to 251 North anymore. I'm surprised it's still open. They even changed it so that the breakfast on the weekends, it starts at 8 a.m. at 251 North to try to get people to go there instead of going to like South Campus or the new dining hall. And still no one goes. Everyone waits till 10 when the good dining hall is actually open. So no, I think 251 North I think it's near the end of its days.
Sounds like the food has gotten a lot better since my days at Maryland.
At the Y it is. And South Campus is pretty good. There's just not as
Really
many.
Are they
good.
still
Student
serving
Union.
the chicken tenders?
Isn't there a
or
Chick-fil-A at the
sandwiches?
stamp?
There is
Yeah,
a
there
Chick-fil-A
is.
stamp. I actually just went today. I got myself a cookies and cream.
I was very disappointed. They got rid of the Terrapin Pizza place that used to be in the dining hall. Right there, they had Jason. They had really good pizza there.
Is there a Kava there now?
Yes, they actually just closed down the Roy Rogers
Oh,
this semester.
You know, was it Roy Rogers or was it a McDonald's? Because it actually was a Roy Rogers when I went there. Then it became
No, it's a Roy Rogers. It was a Roy Rogers.
I don't remember Roy Rogers. I remember McDonald's. And McDonald's has
Yeah,
always been
McDonald's came in after Roy Rogers and Hardee's went away.
the
Dave, are you
McDonald's was
feeling
crazy,
outnumbered by the
Chick-fil-A
Maryland
was
people
crazy.
here?
well, that's-
Go Terps.
There
Yes.
was like a fish place that gave people like hepatitis or something.
Yeah, there's definitely
Oh, there's a McDonald's in downtown Silver Spring that gave typhoids. When I was in high school, there was a McDonald's in downtown. Like I think it was my freshman year. There was a McDonald's on Wayne Avenue, no Pershing, in downtown Silver Spring that was giving people who ate their one of their salads. I think it was their chicken salad or something. People were getting typhoids from that.
oh, geez. I've never had
Yeah.
anything bad like that. I've had some bad meals, but I'm lucky. I never had like food poisoning or anything like that. Knock on wood. So,
Yeah, if Dwight ever gets sick, it's only from bad pizza, if that's possible.
yeah,
Actually, I did get sick after having pizza at Cece's. The worst pizza.
yeah.
I don't know who's worse, Cece's or Little Caesars. I really don't know. They're both pretty bad.
Little Caesars is good, Dwight.
Uh,
You gotta go find a Kmart that's still open.
Yeah,
And go get some Little Caesars.
I actually had.
There's a little Caesar. Actually, the two Little Caesars I know of now there's still one in Montgomery Village, so not far away from where I am.
And there's
But
one on Germantown Road, right?
There's one. There's also there's one in Indiana where my daughter lives,
Mhm.
and so while her husband was still in residency, that was their cheap meal. She just that was when the pizzas were still $5.
mm.
Mhm.
It used to drive my wife crazy because we'd go down there to visit, and then she'd order these pizzas, and my wife is like, she's the Papa John's pizza type or something like that, and to compare the Little Caesars to Papa John's for her, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can eat this pizza, but this is all she can afford, so okay.
Mm.
Well, Domino's used to be really bad, but their pizza's gotten much better.
Domino's stinks. It's not.
Really?
I love the pizza discount.
You got to get their pan pizza, Jason. Their pan pizza is really good.
But,
And I'm
you
a
end up-
pizza.
but if you get the fancy stuff at Domino's, you end up spending like $25 when you could have just gotten a good pizza from somewhere else for that price.
That's true. I mean, Domino's is not in my top 10 of pizza places,
Mm.
But
What is the top 10 pizza list? I feel like we owe it to
Well,
give the viewers
Dwight's
the
got that. You
list.
still have that
Dwight's got
website,
some
Dwight?
questions.
go to the Maryland. Here, I'll share it with you. Hold on a second.
If you haven't seen that,
Whoa.
Dwight's got that like gas station in
Dwight's
like
pride
middle of
and
nowhere,
joy type of thing.
Virginia.
That's actually really good pizza. It's actually over in Emporia.
Yes. Truck stop pizza.
This is it.
Oh wow.
Three brothers, stained glass, Papa John's, Pizza John's in Essex, Mama Lucia's.
There's like a million different Mama Lucias though, and they're all different.
No, actually, they're all pretty consistently good. At least the ones in Montgomery County, the three that I've gone to. Continental Pizza in Kensington. And of these, I have to say,
Yeah,
Our fearless
that's
leader-
been there for like ever, hasn't it, Dwight?
yeah. Remember our friend Dr. John used to work there when he was in college.
Huh.
And I was telling him about the price. He goes, wow. And probably the prices are still really good there. You can get a large pizza for like $8
Oh, wow.
or $12, something like that.
Dwight, if you want a good gas station pizza down in East Tennessee, there's a gas station called Weigel's. It's a chain. It's kind of like a Wawa, but instead of subs, they specialize in pizza and baked goods.
What is it, Weibel's?
Yes, and I got a pizza there on my travels once, and it was pretty good. I would go now whenever I'm ever driving through that region. I make sure to stop at one and get one.
Yeah. When I drive down to
Does
Florida,
Buc-ee's serve pizza, Dwight?
no, they don't. They do serve pulled pork, which is very famous from what I understand. But Bucky's is like a religious experience. It's kind of like,
I was trying to
but
plan out a road trip for the summer with my friend today. We were gonna do a road trip to go to find a Bucky's along the way, going to Graceland, but then we settled for Ocean City.
Dough rollers.
There is a Bucky's on the way to Graceland. It's like right outside of Nashville.
Yeah, it's like a 15-hour drive, which I'm like I'd totally do.
If you're gonna do 15 hours, just drive to Florida. You'll pass 2 Bucky's. One in
But Graceland
Yeah,
is
but Graceland's not that way.
Graceland, man, come on.
the king of rock and roll.
You can make Lil. You can. I drove from here to Memphis in one go.
you can do it in a day.
Year and a
Well,
half, yeah.
back in oh my gosh, it was like right at New Year's. I decided it was like a week after I came home from the fall semester. I was so bored. I told my mom, I said, I'm leaving for Boston tomorrow. She goes, what? And I left. I drove up. Decided to leave on New Year's, which was the worst mistake I could have possibly made. It only took me like 6 hours to get to Boston on the way up, but it took me 9 hours to get home on the way back because
Getting out of Boston traffic.
everyone was going to New York City for New Year's. so I left at like noon, got back at about 9, and fell asleep and woke up in the next year. I was.
It's funny those Red Sox fans have to go to Mets country to watch the New Year's because they can't put on their own New Year's display in Boston.
Yeah, which I learned that Boston. The first thing I did as soon as I got there, I went to Cheers. I love Cheers. That is one of my favorite shows of all time. First watched it when I was 15, then watched it again, understood all of the jokes. But no, I loved it.
Well,
Like,
Liliana, Cheers was just a holodeck program on the Enterprise. Just saying.
That's the other reference. It's Spiro Agnew, right? It's got to be something Star Trek related.
And I didn't mention Governor Agnew at all today. But
There's still time
Governor
to
Agnew,
do that.
the only Marylander that got really close to living in the White House, and if he had just told the guy, "Hey, I don't need this money now," he'd have been president.
We would have a president.
I found on eBay buttons that said Agnew 76. I got outbid by it, but I'm thinking, who's bidding on these things if I'm being outbid on that? Maybe Garrett's the secretly bidding against me.
Well, Dwight, I don't know if you can make this out, but I've got the Spiro T. Agnew watch.
Oh wow!
Oh,
That's very cool.
It's
Is it like the Nixon watch they had, where the hands went backwards?
yeah, you got the hands. He's dressed in red, white, and blue. This was produced after one of his scandals in the early '70s. My father bought one, and it is.
We've lost Liliana. Campus Wi-Fi.
There you go.
Okay.
Spiro T. Agnew watch.
I was saying we lost campus. Is it campus Wi-Fi?
No, not campus Wi-Fi. No, Edu Rome is working right now. No, I had to show my little political. So this is a Bill Clinton clock that ticks backwards. So it goes counterclockwise.
Rush Limbaugh used to push that on his show, on his TV show.
I found it at a Goodwill. There was no price tag on it. It was behind the counter. It was the Goodwill in Phoenix, right over the Baltimore County line. And I'm looking at it, and I said, "How much for the Clinton clock?" The guy goes, "What?" I was like, "The Bill Clinton clock." And he goes, "Oh, there's no price tag on it." So he goes, "How about 15?" I said 10. He goes, "Sold." And this is one of my favorite things that I have, not because it's Bill Clinton, but the fact that it's counterclockwise.
Yep.
Going
I
back
agree.
in time, if you will, reversing everything that Bush and Reagan did. But yeah.
yeah. Joe Biden wish he could go back in time when he was actually lucid.
But as political memorabilia goes, David, I don't know if you know this. Spiro Agnew's nephew is on a Republican Central Committee in Maryland, in Baltimore County. His nephew is on the Central
Is
Committee.
he still doing that?
John Amos, yeah.
He hasn't given it up like everybody else.
No, he hasn't, I don't think so. I hope not. He gave me Spiro Agnew cufflinks when he was vice president. Yeah. I've also got an Agnew pen somewhere around here. I'm trying to think where it is. But I've got an Agnew pen. I've got a Nixon.
Well, if you have a kid, you can name the kid Spiro or Agnew.
No. That's
He's
yeah.
drawing a
Or an
line.
analyst. Here's Spiro. Here's Spiro.
That's the you know.
You know, the one piece of political memorabilia I want, and someone here may have one. Arthur Laffer, the great economist, before the Reagan era, he put on a cocktail napkin, he drew what's known as the Laffer curve, and it deals with economics in terms of the higher taxes, the less revenue you get. Well, I have heard you can find them on eBay. He does them for people, signs them, and sends them. He does them for
Oh,
friends.
really?
And stuff.
You know, we should ask Ron George because Ron George knows Art Laffer.
Yeah, I'd like it. I'd love to, and I'll pay for it. I just want the Laffer, him to draw the Laffer curve for me and sign it.
I tell you, the memorabilia is. I mean, I've got. I also make my own memorabilia because I found a pin guy that does them for $1 and a nickel. See, that's that. But all right, next time the Pizza Club meets, Jason, I got a whole bunch of Pizza Club pins and T-shirts.
Good.
Yes, the UMD College Republicans. We all have our own Maryland Pizza Club pins. Thank you, Dwight.
You're welcome. I don't think I got enough for everyone, but
Dwight, when we have the state party convention in June, we should all wear the T-shirts.
we should.
The convention. We all.
Oh, our
I don't
friend
know who
David
else would be
Bond.
there other than me and you, but we could wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like if you want swag, just ask Dwight. He's got something for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Dwight's got to give away.
Well,
I've
as
got a
kid,
Window Winky pin.
I had Rush Limbaugh stuff. I remember the Rush Limbaugh Ditto Head shirt when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That. And mug, the coffee mug. I think we still have one here. My father had a coffee mug.
I got a Nixon coffee mug right here. Actually, I might be able to reach it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's got.
Oh, that's good.
Reagan
Oh, I
bobblehead.
like the bobblehead.
I like that.
Yeah, he sits on my desk.
Well, I got my Reagan
I
bust.
don't have any political.
And yeah, then I showed it before
Memorabilia
we
in this
started,
room.
but the mac and cheese, the Republicans in 2004,
Oh, that's good.
the mac and cheese they had it in like elephant shapes. Now
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
not.
that's good. Yeah.
And
You know, they didn't do that for 2020 or 2016. You know that?
I know they did not, but 2004 is the superior year. It's when I was born.
Oh,
So
2004. Wow, you are young.
Oh, you were
I-
young.
yeah.
Oh, my God.
I turned 51 this year. And, you know, I'm not feeling my age yet, except actually, although it is that's not true. Because a couple weeks ago when I got back from Florida, I was taking luggage out of my car, and I did something to my back.
Mhm.
I mean, it hurt. Like, you would not believe I could not stand up straight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was just a pulled muscle, and ice and heat and muscle relaxants did the trick. You know, but it was crazy, you know.
Well, the Youngkin was smart in terms of political memorabilia because remember he was known for his vest, the red vest he would wear, and then he starts marketing them. I shouldn't say that. I don't think he sells them, but I mean he gives them away, and they're very valuable. Official Yeah, you can buy knockoffs, but the official Youngkin
Wait,
vest goes away.
does he not have an official Youngkin store on his campaign site?
Maybe, but I don't think the vest you can buy. I don't think is actually his official. He has his official type, but.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, so they're giving away. So in Virginia, in political events, when you see someone with a vest, the Youngkin vest, you know that's someone pretty important that Youngkin had given them a vest. So I think it's a great marketing strategy. It's a great idea.
I tell you, you know, I think,
You remember
You
Lamar
know-
Alexander with his plaid shirt? Remember that?
yeah.
The checkerboard
You know-
shirt?
Well, you know, when I ran for council last year, my trademark was pizza. We had pizza at every campaign event, I think, right, Jason?
I
You-
think
you
so.
actually-
I do think you had pizza. Yeah,
You've come to multiple events, yeah. We didn't have pizza. We had Bob Ehrlich, though. We kept that classy when Bob was there. You know, and speaking of Governor Ehrlich, 20 years ago, he was governor of the great state of Maryland, fixing all the screws that Paris Glendenning did over his 8 years of reign of terror on the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
You know, But we've got other topics, Don, that we need to talk about, right? I think.
Do we?
I mean, we talked about
as
Maryland
as
Day.
the show winds down.
Yeah.
Oops.
We've got the war in Ukraine still going along. You know, our friends, the Ukrainians, you know, they're keep on winning, you know. And I like to use my Deep Space Nine reference. It's like when the changelings thought they could conquer the Federation in one swoop. And the head changeling said, I guess this war's going to... this war's going to take a little longer than we all thought, huh? And then as they beam off, Deep Space Nine as the Federation Armada is going to reclaim the space station. But
Yeah, it's been going on. We're over a year, right? I mean, this is
over a year.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going on for a while. It's got to be taking its toll, certainly on the Ukraine, but you would think on Russia too, unless they're totally getting around the sanctions. I mean, you would think that you think it would have to bite them at this point after a year.
I think it was like last week that Japan announced that they'd be buying oil from Russia.
I know, really, Japan. What are you thinking?
I know. So there are definitely ways in which they're still getting some sort.
I mean, the Indians never stopped buying oil from Russia.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, you know, you guys are allegedly the world's largest democracy. What are you doing? You know, you guys are democratic. You know, stop cozying up to the Chi-Coms because it never works out well for you guys. Because they did this when Nehru was the PM, and the Chi-Coms did an invasion. And then they had, it's like, you've got all these skirmishes at the border with the Chi-Coms, you know. And
well, there's disputed territory, right? They have a dispute, China.
Yes. China claims it's their territory and really isn't, you know. It's kind of like China claiming Tibet is their territory when it never was. You know, whenever happened to the Free Tibet movement by the left, that used to be the left's favorite cause, Free Tibet.
And then there's Philippine Islands that the Chinese are now claiming as well, or I guess they have claimed, but they're apparently making some moves with the military.
We need to get our Air Force base back in the Philippines. We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
We need to contain China, you know, bring back John Dulles' foreign policy. Let's kick him out of the UN, recognize mainland China, and isolate them. And then we're treating China with kid gloves. We never would have done this with the Soviet Union. We never would have given Soviet Union most favored nation status. Nor would we ever have been a trading partner with the Soviet Union. Why did we ever? It's like, did we forget that China was still red? You know, when we were giving them MFN, Bill Clinton gave them and Lucite gave them, was it Lucite or Lucent? That gave away technology that improved their missile targeting systems, so they could they could hit us more precisely with their missiles.
Yeah, we just saw dollar signs. They just saw dollar signs. They saw the big China, and they had the dream of China, this great roaring economy. Yeah, that's true, but I think it was just a thought from an economic standpoint 20, 30 years ago that we'll give them MFN, do what we can to work with them. We'll help them, and they'll help us. But you realize that they really haven't moderated that much in terms of their human rights.
Maybe we should have rethunk the whole Marshall Plan also about keeping the, you know, like we forced all the European powers to give up their colonies, you know. Just saying, you know. But yeah. So, by the way,
but India, I did read today that India is going to overtake China in terms of population very soon. There'll be more Indians than Chinese.
There you go. That's the war we had.
I think they already surpassed that.
Yeah, maybe it's already by now. I didn't think it was quite yet, but maybe.
But actually, you know, I don't know where you read that, Dave.
I saw the same thing, Dave. I think it's going to happen in the next few months.
Okay.
It'll be official.
But you know, I also read that their population is dropping. Like the middle class population is like they're having fewer children as people become more affluent. They're having fewer children
in India. You mean?
Yeah.
In China, I guess they saw their one-child policy. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, China suffered because of the one-child policy.
Right.
They allow you to have more kids, but it's a little bit too late to kind of fix that now for law reasons.
Yeah, because the kids.
There you go. Look at we've got some of the smartest viewers.
Must be the latest stats. There we go.
Yeah, we've got some of the.
All right. Well, then I was strong. I stand corrected. I didn't think that was had happened.
We have some of the smartest viewers.
Yeah.
On the internet,
they may have overtaken them in the last few days. Although, as far as we know,
no, I think it was like I think it was like a year ago. So it was I know it was in like human. I think it was human geography. last year in high school that we were talking about that. Another thing we talked about is how like Japan is having so few people that are like having kids that they are
Kids, yeah.
incentivizing to recreate. And it's kind of crazy that we live in a society now where we have more people than have ever existed. But we're having troubles like
It,
creating, and
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
kind of
not
a
even-
problem. And whether that's because it's too expensive to have kids or whatever, it's just it's a problem.
Well, in Japan, it's just the real estate. So in Tokyo, those apartments are so small. You know, my den here would be a large. What do you call a large place for family, a Japanese family to live in Tokyo. But I mean, if you go out to Kyoto and like that, you got some nice places out there.
Yeah. But it just seems to me a society should want to replace itself, and so it'd be problematic if you're not doing that.
But I think
I say that as someone with any kids. So.
I tell you this. I think what do you call? We've got we still hold all the high cards, as my professor at GW once said, Richard Thornton. He goes, even when it looked like we weren't winning, we held all the high cards. Even in Vietnam, we had all the high cards. And I believe we hold all the high cards still right now. China's military is not. I think their military, they may have numbers, but I don't think it's sophisticated as our military.
Yeah,
Just
but,
like the Russian military was supposed to squash the Ukrainians in a day or two, and we're here over a year, almost coming up on 18 months this summer. I know, and I think they're going to have to come to the negotiating table, frankly, to have peace. Otherwise, it's going to be a quagmire for Vladimir Putin. And you have Russian.
How many Russian prisoners does he have left to throw at them?
I don't know. So he's emptying the gulags.
I was reading an article about that. It's just that the Wagner group. I mean, they went to the prisons and basically made a pitch to the prisoners. It's like you join us, you get you're going to get paid, and then you get what if you can survive 6 months or something like that or thereabouts, you can go. They'll let you off or whatever. But the question is, if they go to the front line, will they actually survive 6 months? A lot of them don't.
I guess until there's a revolt or something, maybe in Russia, unless you have the population rising up against Putin, I think Putin's still committed to continuing to throw more and more.
Maybe he'll share the fate of Ceausescu.
Yeah,
that was a glorious Christmas week.
Hopefully, but I don't know. That'd be nice if someone just takes him out. That'd be great if that would solve the problem, but I don't know.
Yeah, since he decided that he will be president for life, which at that point you're not a president. No matter what you're a despot. Your governing document says you are not a president if you are president for life.
Back in the day, many years ago, I want to say this happened in the 80s maybe, or late 80s, where somebody ran for campus president and declared himself king.
Wow. We just got off of an interesting SGA election. We still don't have the results yet, but one of the slates was endorsed by the college Democrats, which normally the political organizations on campus do not get involved because it's not supposed to be political. But that slate decided that they weren't going to play by the rules. So we shall see what happens. That we'll either be super liberal or somewhat okay. So,
when I was at Maryland, we actually did have a Republican-friendly president of the campus. I want to say his name was Seth Mandel.
Yeah, not here. They didn't let me get to the SGA. They didn't let me on because I was too partisan. They didn't think that I would work for both sides.
Wait, Dave got on. Dave was elected to student government. I mean, when he was.
That's fascinating. So I'm more conservative than Dave Bossy.
No, Dave Marks. Dave
Oh,
Marks.
Dave Marks. Oh, well, yes, and his son's involved with SGA as well. Sorry, I thought
Is he?
you meant Dave. We needed to specify that one.
Yeah.
but yeah, no. I mean,
Yeah, he also went to Maryland too. Dave
Yeah.
Marks.
yes, yeah. Everyone's gone to Maryland, but it's good
Yeah,
nonetheless.
it's a
But
great school. Great.
Yeah.
Jason
even with the
Turp
low,
alum, the real Maryland, as I like to say,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Poser Maryland, which is UMBC.
yeah.
So, is there any sort of conservative presence at all at University of Maryland, or what's it?
We have the college.
Yeah, you Liliana and Matt Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the college Republicans. We did an event. I think it was 2 weeks ago now with
I knew it.
Nick that was really great. It was
What year was that, Craig? See, he had a king. I knew that happened.
Huh.
But
So-
yeah, no, we definitely have a presence, and we're going to be more involved next semester,
mhm.
especially with everything going on. And like it was said, I'm running for chair of the state college Republicans. So
Good.
looking to get all of the college, all the campuses involved with the 2024 election.
All right, good.
Does Salisbury have a chapter now again? Salisbury
Yes.
State
Yes,
University.
yes, they do.
See, the reason I keep calling Salisbury State because that's what they were called when I was going there.
Same with Towson State University.
Yeah, TSU. Actually, no, it was Towson State. It didn't become Towson State University until
Okay.
or was it maybe even Towson College? I don't know. But like Salisbury used to be Salisbury State, and somebody at Salisbury had a really bad marketing idea. SS State
Mm.
sweatshirts. Yeah.
Okay.
You know. Yeah, I know. Only could have it at Salisbury, though.
So, you think at University of Maryland, if they had conservative speakers, you think it maybe they could be welcome, or do you think it would be like some of these other?
We've had, when I was over there, we had a number of conservative speakers come through. Peter King,
Okay.
former congressman of New York.
Yep.
Who else came? We had Roscoe Bartlett came. We had Connie Mack, Dirk Kempthorne.
Yeah, I think it's definitely way different now.
I bet I could have gotten Spiro Agnew to come to the University of Maryland. I wrote him a letter. He sent
Conway
me.
basically speak on the campus. It wasn't a school-sponsored event, but it was on. I mean, it was on the campus.
Oh,
Or
Kellyanne.
right across the street.
Oh yeah, when she
When we
spoke
had
at our.
red, white, and blue. Nobody seemed to
Yeah,
care.
and I think it was probably a Maryland student that jumped in there that was attacking her. Remember?
No, it was not. It was some older guy. That was not a student.
It could be a Maryland law. It could be a Maryland student. You know, Maryland is known for. We've got the smartest people that watch our show, but I think one of my great Maryland memories is when Al Gore came. He spoke in front of McKeldin, and we got a Bush Quail sign on his Dodge Dynasty that he was riding in.
Mm.
Wow.
Which I thought was a little funny. You think he'd have a nicer car than a Dodge Dynasty? Yeah, just saying. But not like a motorcade or anything. But yeah.
Well, the
And
biggest.
he put his jacket up. He put his jacket up against the window. It's like when a child like that goes like that when they're little. He just didn't want to see the Republicans waving the Bush Quail signs in front of him.
Well, we had Jerry Brown on our campus once, and I feel bad about this because we heckled him. I mean, we had fun. We had a little too much fun than we should have.
There's
had.
nothing wrong with that. They heckle our guys. We heckle theirs. It's the game. They know how it's played.
And Jerry Brown shushed me. So-
Jerry Brown, did you go? Nobody shushes me.
Yeah.
Only my mother says shush to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, looks like we're at final thoughts, Don.
We are indeed.
Yes, final thoughts, Don Irvine.
Final thoughts. So Alex Mooney looks like he's got a challenger in West Virginia. The governor is now jumping into the race, so that'll change the dynamic there. I think everybody expected Justice to go in there, and I guess there'll be some contrast. I mean, I guess Alex is far more conservative than Justice, but Justice has got obviously statewide recognition, and probably will have more money to go on that, and will probably be the guy that could beat Manchin. But Manchin hasn't said whether or not he's going to run yet again. So, and I think Manchin has shown lately that, he realizes that he's in trouble in that state after having won several times. So that's a Republican pickup in all likelihood next year. So that's good to see. It'll be good for the Republicans, good for West Virginia.
Isn't the governor up for re-election next year also in West Virginia?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why.
So maybe Alex should run for
Manchin's
governor.
Statement where he said he was like, "I will win any election that I run in," which I was like, "Is he hinting? Maybe he'll run for governor." Like, who knows?
Who, Alex or
no Manchin? Because
Manchin.
He put out a release saying, "I will win any election that I run in," or something like that.
Manchin was the governor there before, right?
He said, "I will win any election."
He was governor.
Yeah, so I mean, he could.
But I tell you, Alex might want to consider running for governor of West Virginia.
I saw somebody say that today.
They could do a switch. Like, if you remember North Carolina for years, the senator and governor would switch off. Like, he'd be governor for a while, and then he'd go and become a senator, and the senator would become the governor, and until I think one of them died, and that's then Locke Fairclough.
Does he want to move all the way out to Charleston, though? I mean, he's still relative. He lives in that panhandly part of West Virginia that's kind of close.
He lives near Martinsburg
the DC area, right?
But here's the thing: if you were offered to be governor of even West Virginia, you wouldn't mind living in Charleston?
I don't know. I've never been in Charleston. It could be the worst place in the world.
It's actually there's a guy that does these.
I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's fine, but
it's not as nice as Annapolis.
Is Annapolis that nice though?
Annapolis is really
Annapolis has Ram's Head, so yes, it is.
Annapolis is probably the prettiest state capital in the country. It's
also the least populated state capital in the country.
No, it's not. That was wrong.
Or it's like the least amount it's like the least populated per person, or maybe it's like density. That might be it.
The streets are the narrowest probably than any other state capital.
Yeah, something with its population, it's like the least.
But see, Annapolis.
I think Pierre, South Dakota is the smallest.
But here's the thing, Jason. Annapolis never got away from building roads to fit horse and buggies, opposed to cars.
No, that's why there's the small push to make Annapolis a carless city, because the roads weren't made for cars.
So contrast out to Salt Lake City, because if you've ever been out to Utah, the roads out there in town are wide, and they said this because when it was settled and everything like this, it was set up because of all the kind of the horse and the buggy, the hand car, all these kinds of things. They had to have it wide enough to have all this horse traffic and whatever, because you go into downtown Salt Lake, it's like, okay, this is actually pretty nice. You actually feel like you're not crammed in, because Annapolis is I don't know, I get claustrophobic when I drive in.
Yeah, especially State Circle. I hate going that State Circle because you got all those the privileged government employees that park on one side of the circle. I think what we should do is use eminent domain and widen State Circle. Take some land from the Capitol building, take some of those. And
it's already a 2-lane circle. If it exists anymore, it's not going to be safe.
It's not safe right now. It should actually just be a one-way circle, frankly.
I mean, with all the construction that's there right now, it's acting as both a circle and a sidewalk, because now the sidewalk is closed because of the construction, so people just walk in the circle, and then there's cars just driving behind the people walking.
I would love to put a sign up there on State Circle of Larry Hogan. Miss me yet? When I was governor, you actually had safe sidewalks to walk on. But back to Don's final thoughts. Sorry for.
No. We got that's part of the whole thing, though, is that we get into this thing. We never know exactly where we're going when we say things. This kind of irked me. I mean, Karine Jean-Pierre with the Lesbian Visibility Week, where she, she brings out the cast of the L Word and whatever, and it's like, and then goes on to lecture the White House press corps about the importance of all of this. It's like, I don't care about your sexuality in this case. I don't care if you're a lesbian black female, the whole thing, then you're the press secretary. First of all, is that you're like the worst press secretary I've seen in my entire life. It's like, this is like a deflection for me. It's like, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the fact that I'm a black female and I'm a lesbian and I'm the press secretary and all this, but not by the fact that I'm actually a terrible press secretary, and nobody, because of this, like no one can fire me because, remember, I'm a lesbian and I'm black and everything like this. So I don't know. I mean, I think even the press corps gets a little bit ruffled about this. She's horrible. But I don't know what Biden is supposed to do about this. I mean, they put her in there, and it's like, exactly how do you remove her unless maybe you make her the campaign spokesperson or something like that? Find her.
Or why don't they just? Why doesn't he take a page out of CNN? Fire her. They fired a. Wasn't he gay or whatever? Don Lemon.
Oh yeah, he's gay. Yeah.
Yeah, and they fired him. And he was black. As he told Vivek Ramaswamy that sometimes that interview that he's black. I think
anybody, this administration has made gender identity such a big deal, with all the people they put in the administration. Firing anybody at this stage, it becomes problematic for them because, they're supposed to be this great diversity push with all of these things, and the whole, diversity, equity, inclusion, and all, you name it, it's out there in this administration. They don't, I think they're afraid of sending the wrong message. It's like, oh, we put the wrong person in there, but how do we get them out of there without, creating some kind of firestorm among the supporters of this particular, group of people and stuff like that. I don't know.
That's why they can't get rid of Kamala. That's why they got Kamala.
Yeah.
They can't get rid of her either.
Make her an ambassador somewhere. That's actually the way to get rid of her. You make her an ambassador, to I don't know, somewhere like, I don't know, Austria or something like that, or Liechtenstein or something like that, where nobody really. It's one of those insignificant countries in the world.
Yeah.
Hasn't she gone to Guatemala like 3 times?
There you go. She could be ambassador of Guatemala. She could stay in this hemisphere if she wants.
Yeah, send her to Central America and just be good.
Yeah, even if she wants to be ambassador to Mexico.
She can confuse the people there, just like she's confused people here with her word salad speeches and everything like that.
One of my favorite things I saw the other day was when you have to write a 10,000 word essay and you're trying to make the minimum word count. And it was her talking about time. It was really something. But yeah, no, it is some of the worst rhetoric I think we've ever had from any vice president.
Yeah, that is a great clip. He talks about it's time now to do what we've been already doing, and then it's time, just goes on and on.
And everyone, everywhere, together.
Yes. Yeah. We have to do what we've been doing every day, and what we do.
Like, who is your speechwriter? It's so bad.
Did she say time is like sand through an hourglass?
No, I don't think she mentioned it without hourglasses, but Venn diagrams.
See, that's again before
I love Venn diagrams.
Yeah, or school buses.
You know what the reference is from Days of Our Lives. That used to be the tagline for Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
Like sand in an hourglass. These are the days of our lives.
Wow.
But
okay, couple more real quick things there, and I'll depart there. Just on the 2024 campaign with Biden, for all of us who saw that wonderful video of Joe, with the images of January 6th and all this stuff like that, does it not sound like it's like, yes, I want to run again, for re-election because I'm not Donald Trump. I think that's the underlying message with Biden, and it's kind of scary. I mean, you've got a guy who's old. He's obviously got some mental decline. His acuity is not where it's supposed to be, and he's keeping Harris. It's like, what are the voters, what are the Democrats supposed to do with this ticket?
Well, they've cleared the field for him. I mean, no debates.
Yeah, I mean this is danger for them. But I think they want to face Trump because they figure he's the guy that they can beat. But they may be underestimating it because now Biden's got a record to run on, and it's not a good record. I mean, they're trying to make the best of it, but it's a terrible record to run on, and it's hard to see that maybe by election time the economy, some of the things that we've been dealing with for the last year and a half.
Oh, he thinks he's President Reagan, by the way. Because remember Ronald Reagan in 1983, his approval rating was in the 30s. And then things kind of started picking up steam in the spring. But guess what's going to happen to Joe Biden as the spring goes on to summer? I think we're going to be in a recession.
Yeah, no one knows for sure exactly we're going to get the recession or not. There's so much discussion about that. So that's the one thing that could absolutely kill a re-election for Biden, is that if the country is suffering from a recession, it's pretty hard to win an election when you're the president and you're also trying to deal with that. So we'll just see what happens with that. And so then the last thing here too is just happy birthday to the State of Israel 75th anniversary. We're seeing a lot of events this past week, and it's been a great ally for us. Though you do begin to wonder exactly how strong an ally with some of the Democrats in Congress not seeming to be.
Well, the Democrat Party has now become the party of the anti-Semites, frankly.
Yeah, there's still plenty of Jewish Democrats in Congress, but this other group is starting to kind of overtake it.
Yeah. And it's like, what's happening, guys? These guys, you've got people like Omar, who's basically out and out. She's out of the closet anti-Semite, frankly. So.
Yeah. Anytime you've got the squad people, with between her and Rashida Tlaib and there just seems to be a growing body of people that are more anti-Israel than we've seen before from the Democrat side.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But
I'll shut
by
up.
the way, did anybody watch the interview with what's her name, AOC, where she claims she takes credit for the firing of Tucker Carlson?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, they played it on Fox, I think. But I think it's funny. It's kind of like those Islamic terrorists who take credit for hurricanes and tornadoes in the Midwest. When we'd have them. But anyways, final thoughts. David, you're next.
Well, my final thought is one pet peeve. When you're at the library, you're supposed to be quiet. I get to the library, and I sometimes just like to sit and read. And inevitably, there'll always be someone on the phone.
You go to a library?
I still do, yeah. Sometimes I like to sit and read, and it's a nice library, the Dolly Madison Library in McLean, and I got a seat right by this nice little park. And so anyway, but I don't know why it sort of bothers me so much, but when I sit there and read, and there's always someone in some sort of phone conversation or something. So anyway, that was just my thought for the day. Just please be quiet and respect that. But otherwise, all's going well, and I'm glad to meet our two new guests, and hopefully they'll come back. And I'll keep it short and let you guys speak in terms of final thought.
Oh, by the way, you've got some book or something that you put out, right? And now you're going to do a book tour?
Oh, me?
Somebody. Yeah, how can people invite you to go do a book event?
Yeah, elections have consequences. I was in Clark County the other day. It was a nice, it's about 55 miles away. And you go to Clark County, you kind of go down a hill because you go into the valley. So February 1st, I went there. It's a small club. And they let me speak because I came from so far away. And I spoke about my book. I didn't have any books with me, but I spoke just on a whim. That was February 1st. I came back last night just to say hi. And a lady came up to me. She shook my hand. She said she bought my book after I spoke, and she loved it. So that made me feel really good, made my day, made my week. And I'm in Newport News next week. I'm not looking forward to that trip because Newport News is like a few hundred miles away. But I'm going there to sell the book. And then, yeah, it's been fun. So I enjoy it. And who knows? Maybe it'll sell in Maryland. I don't know. Even though it's not a Virginia governor, but maybe I'll do the Maryland tour eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's my report.
Sure. Final thoughts, Dr. Trot.
I don't have much prepared this week. I think my only final thought would be, and I was reminded of it earlier, if I was still a college student, I would make sure that whenever they schedule the College Republican Convention, I would show up and I would vote for Lily. That's my final thought of the day.
There you go.
Is that an official endorsement
It
from the
is.
Honorable Jason
Yep,
Trott?
you can use it.
That's going to go far. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason.
I have a lot of sway. You watch.
Hey, so the convention's going to be in Towson.
Yes.
We
Bradley's
should
still working out
we
the
should do
details.
a victory pizza and politics after your convention.
I would absolutely be down. That would be that'd be awesome.
Jason, you know the good pizza place in Towson, right? Didn't you tell me? Didn't you say there was a place? Or
Yeah, I think Bradley disagreed though.
we could drive to Kearney and go to Remos. That's a really good
That's
place.
not close. That isn't close to Towson, I don't think.
Kearney's
It's not
like
that far.
Kearney's like a 20-minute drive. It's not too
Yeah.
bad.
Is it 20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's like Perry Parkway is what it's like Perry Parkway exit.
Yeah, Kearney's like 15 minutes from my house, which is about 35 from Towson.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow. So, final thoughts, Liliana.
Okay.
Hey, what are you running for again now? What are you running for again? You
running
for
for chair of the Maryland Federation of College Republicans. But no. So my other activity that I'm involved in is the Maryland Federation of Republican Women, and we are having a brunch, a Sunday brunch on May 21st. It's from noon to 3, so it's enough time you can get to church and get your brunch clothes on, and it's a bottomless buffet at the Severn Inn. And we have a raw bar, we have an omelet station, a salad bar. There's bacon, sausage, breakfast potatoes, waffles, yogurt, fresh fruit, a dessert bar. I know I'm forgetting more. It's going to be a huge spread.
No waffle bar?
No, there's waffles, but no, huge spread. Tickets are $75. You can go to mfrw.org to buy them. We also have sponsorships, so definitely check that out. And non-members, the fee is $100. So,
But how many tickets do I get with an Orioles sponsorship, by the way?
you can get 2 tickets.
2 tickets? And
Yeah.
how about with, what's the other sponsorship
Yeah,
you have?
so there's the $500 sponsorship is 4 tickets, or $1,000 is 8 tickets.
Why is it $1,000 an Orioles sponsorship? I think $250 is kind of low for an Orioles sponsorship, yeah.
Well,
Just saying.
okay, I didn't come up with the names. We would just appreciate your money.
Okay.
Then just as a final thought, it's final season, so good luck to the college students that are they're trekking through finals. I luckily just have final papers, so the next 2 weeks I'll just be cranking out some words, but yeah, no big tests, thank goodness. But yeah, good luck to everyone.
Okay, final thoughts for me.
Oh, could I just add one quick little thing? I'm sorry, Dwight. Susan had a question. She asked where.
Yeah, you want to put that in the private chat, and then I'll copy it and I'll put it on the captions.
Okay, no problem. Just wanted to check.
Like she wants to know name of the book and the Newport News info in the chat.
All right.
So, but anyways, my final thoughts. The company's busy week this week. A lot of things happen. A lot of moving and a lot of hustle and bustle. Kamala Harris was over at Goddard with no fanfare this week, and nobody seems to. She was there, but nobody has had any Kamala sightings, by the way. And this is also we're coming up on a busy week next week. We've got Pizza and Politics with Delegate Chris Tomlinson, who will be there giving us the legislative wrap-up of the good. Yeah, and there was some good that happened in this legislative session. The bad and the ugly, which we had a lot of that too. That's next Thursday over at Mama Lucia's in Olney. come one, come all, bring a friend. It's only $20. It's only $10 if you join the Montgomery Capital Problem Club. Also, next week, King Chuck 2 gets formally coronated as king of the empire. Unfortunately, I wish he would give the speech that he's not going to give, like, I will reconstitute the monarchy and the British Empire. But he's not going to say that. He's probably going to say, he'll probably be some he'll probably talk about the environment and stuff like that. Maybe his brother Andrew. But it's that's about it. And this week also, by the way, Jason, Cookout mint Oreo shake, really good.
Yeah, that's good.
There was one right outside of the hotel. There's a brand new one that just opened at the hotel I stayed in Florence on my way back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you are right. That is a horrible.
Yeah, you stay at that truck stop hotel, and you're like, it's not that great.
No, I stay at the Comfort Inn. Comfort Inn Suites is where I stay.
Oh, I thought you were.
I don't stay at those truck stops. No, I will not stay at a
rough hotel like on the side of the highway.
No, I will stay at a. I like Comfort Inn Suites. I prefer DoubleTrees, but there's no DoubleTree on that exit. I stayed at the La Quinta there, very big disappointment. I stayed at the Radisson, a big disappointment. Comfort, and there's this new lifestyle hotel, Host 2, by somebody or another. I forget who does. I think it's a Marriott property also, but I was very disappointed in them. Comfort Inn, the suites are nice, and it's good. I recommend that Comfort Inn over there in Florence. But don't order pizza from the pizza because the delivery people take forever and they always screw up your orders there. That's it. Home too. That's right.
You should have just went over to the Buc-ee's and got.
I'm past Buc-ee's. By the time I get to Florence, I've already passed the Buc-ee's.
What? It's in Florence.
There's a Buc-ee's in Florence?
Yes, there's one in Florence.
Okay. That I have not. That I have not gone to. I did not know that. I know about the Buc-ee's over
There's a couple in Florida.
There's one
the one
by
in Florence is the closest one to us in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there's what do you call? There's what am I thinking of? There's a Love's, which I do like, and there's a Flying J. Actually, the Love's is actually my favorite place to stop off at.
I like Love's going up to Pennsylvania. There's one off of exit 90.
Why don't we have a Love's here in
I don't know,
Maryland?
but the most
one
superior...
Love's in Maryland, and it's right outside of Cumberland.
Yeah.
There's a Love's in Cumberland?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
now,
went to it when we had convention out there.
Sheetz is my favorite gas station.
Is it really?
Sheetz. Just the aesthetic. I love it.
I prefer Wawa's to Sheetz.
Wawa beats Sheetz every time, in my opinion.
No, I will pick a Sheetz every time. Their milkshakes are better.
Wawa's also had a peppermint patty milkshake, which is really good. And the coffee is better at Wawa's too. And my other final thought, it is planting season, everyone, so get your plants soon, and basically it's spring planting season. I will be planting my garden in the next couple of weeks, if this rain will ever stop, frankly.
Rain all day today.
What's that?
All day today. Raining. All day today. I hope it'll.
I did not know that. See, I go to 172. That's the problem. I take that 172 exit because that's where all the hotels are. Frankly, there aren't too many hotels on the other exits. But I did make it to Florida in one day this time.
Wow.
I left my house around 4:30 in the morning though, and I was dead tired.
You gotta get up early.
I tell you, I was in Richmond. The pizza place wasn't even open. I think I put that picture out around 8:30 or so. I already cleared Richmond and was at the Carolina border in Emporia at around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Wow.
I was in Florence by like 11:30, I think. But Dave, you're a Virginia person. Have you ever been to that pizza place over in Emporia? It's at the Shell station.
Dwight, I think
I
only you
don't.
and the
I don't
locals.
remember. I don't remember it offhand.
Yeah, it's really a good place. That's I remember the first, but Emporia has grown since the last time I went there. I went there during the very first time I went to Emporia was when Governor Allen was running,
Hmm.
and it was really a small town then. It's
Yeah.
actually they put in some more stuff there.
Yeah.
You
I've
know,
been there, but it's been a while.
What is it
and
called,
Skipper.
Dwight?
It's at the Shell station. I think it's. Hold on, I'll tell you. Give me a second. I would say it's called Pino's, maybe. I'm almost positive that's the name of Pino's.
You ever been to Maryland House?
No, where's that?
What's that road? You're coming up the highway. It's Maryland House. It's like a little stop with expensive fast food. The Maryland House. We used to always stop there. I forget the road.
In Virginia, right? It's like around Fort AP Hill, correct?
What? Emporia?
No, yeah, no. I was saying, Pino's Pizza is the name of the place, right next to the Days Inn.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
That
Is
is a
that from the
picture
place?
Google of Pino's Pizza.
Yeah, is that from the place in Tennessee?
No, that's your place that you're
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, next to the Days Inn. Don had that pizza there. We stopped there on our way to North Carolina
Don,
for
was
this
it
day.
actually good, or is Dwight lying?
That pizza place we had, that was fine.
Yeah. You know, another place that has good pizza in Frederick, Brothers Pizza, and you can get that at a gas station, and it's good pizza.
You guys are making me hungry.
But that's about, we're really the extremes. That's pretty much it for my final thoughts. And tomorrow's Maryland Day. I will be out there. Jason, Jason, are you going to be at Maryland Day?
I will be home. I'm not going anywhere.
You're going to drive you're not going to drive back to Maryland?
I'm good.
You don't
See-
want to meet the author of Diary of the Wimpy Kid series?
I didn't know he went to Maryland until.
Yeah, he did. He was there when I was there. He drove the shuttles. He was, and he did the Igdoof cartoon.
Yeah.
And there was actually one Igdoof cartoon. Oh, Maryland House. There you go. That's it. We've got the smartest viewers.
Maryland House 95. That's right.
I know. But Igdoof went there in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And he drove the shuttle. But anyways, Maryland Day is a lot of fun. Everyone should go. I will try and be there. I think I'm going to go there. It's not that far from me. So I think I will go there. It's always a nice thing. I like going there. Most of our professors have gone. They're not teaching anymore. A lot of them have gone into retirement or the great beyond. But you always run into one or two. And you always run into one or two folks you went to school with there. So, but that's about it. Good night, everyone. We are in extra innings. Here we go. We are ending the stream. See everyone next week. And as I've always said, don't leave until I say it's clear to leave.